So next we'll move on to the technology project report by Donovan.
All right, we are wrapping up the fall 2015 cooperative technology purchase. 17 libraries, excuse me, 11 online libraries, I'll learn to talk in a moment, purchased 17 PCs and related equipment. Those installations are complete with the exception of one library that has asked us to hold off deployment. The deadline for the winter 2016 purchase for orders is January 29th, so that's coming right up. We are wrapping up deployments for the 2016 PC lease. There are 5 online libraries starting 3-year leases this year for a total of 41 PCs and monitors and 1 laptop. And there are clearly a number here that was supposed to go into a bullet point that did not make it, so I apologize for that. The correct number is 3 libraries, and I would have to look at my notes to tell you the number of PCs. But 3 libraries' PCs are being shipped back to Dell as their current leases end. The new lease deployments are finishing today. The crew just got back from St. Charles, which was the final deployment for this lease today. Cleanup reports for the last wave of the OCLC reclamation project are ongoing. We, at one point, thought we were on track to finish this by the end of 2015. We did not quite make that. We still have some libraries that are doing cleanup. We believe we should be finished by April of 2016.
And then this is Ann, just as an aside, since the Minitex new gateway and the new interlibrary loan module that will be coming eventually is OCLC based. All the other Minlink gateways in the state will have to go through a reclamation. So just last week, the notification went out to all of the Minlink directors with information about the reclamations and how to sign up for one. And so it was fun to go down to Cheryl's office and say, and we really don't have to do anything, and we're done, and she said yes. So they will be starting a process very similar around the state that we have been going through the last almost 4 years.
We have finally, at long last, completed our bandwidth upgrades for the fiscal year. 8 online libraries were upgraded, all completed in July. The holdout that held us back was the SELCO office. Our internet service provider had a great deal of difficulties with their internet service provider getting us set up, but the upgrade was finally completed on December 30th, 2015. So the SELCO office is now getting 10 megabytes up and down, which is a 10-fold increase over what we previously had. And therefore, our upgrades are now complete. We have completed online library switch replacements for this year. We replaced 20 switches at 14 libraries. Every year we attempt to replace roughly a third of the switches. That way we keep kind of a rolling 3-year replacement cycle going. Year 3 replacements will start in the new fiscal year of July. So you will not be hearing any more about this project until then. We do something similar with online library routers, the Sonic walls. We did those over a 2-year period, however. So we completed installations at the 23 libraries that were slated for completion in this fiscal year, and we are now done with that project. We will not be replacing more of those in the next fiscal year because we do keep those for more than 2 years. So our target is usually 3 to 5 years on that equipment, but upgrades and end-of-life cycles often play a role in that. We've been adding wireless access points to selected libraries to improve their range and strength. Those libraries were chosen based on size and other challenges that they might face to the range and strength of their public wireless. We have completed installation of 16 wireless access points at 12 libraries that were identified as having special challenges, and that project is complete for the year. We have been working on the SELCO Office wireless in the last few months to support more user devices and split guest use from SELCO staff. A couple of things push us in this direction. We've been having more programs in the last 6 months that feature electronic devices, including one that basically overwhelmed what our network could handle. Nobody's fault in particular. It was just something that came up and nobody saw it coming. We did get through the day okay, but that increased our priority on expanding the network. So anyone who was here this week for the last practical librarianship conference, or excuse me, workshop on social media will know that the network went fine despite every single participant having some kind of mobile device. So that one was our acid test. So we were kind of happy that we got through that without any particular problems. We're also working on splitting our network so that we will have a SELCO guest network that will be completely segregated from the network that SELCO staff use. And that should improve security across the board. That guest network is in place right now. There are cards with the information for authentication over on the counter. We do still require, I take that back, we do not require a password on that, but it is a different network than one that you may have used in the past. So we do ask if you're using Wi-Fi at some point to grab one of those cards and start using the guest network. We have not cut off the old network from guests quite yet, but we will be doing that at some point in the future. So this project is basically complete. No sooner did we get the upgrades for last year done than it is time to start planning for bandwidth upgrades for the coming fiscal year as part of our E-rate process. E-rate applications are filed in February, so we have been working on identifying libraries that will need upgrades based on what's available in their communities. We make those decisions based on an internal formula that we use to help us estimate the use of the library. That's based on criteria such as number of PCs and the different kinds of services that are provided by the library. We're pulling that information together now and working with our finance manager on the E-rate forms. Of course, what's available in the local communities also has an impact. Sometimes we hit the ceiling and we just can't go any further with the library because there's no other options locally. We are getting started on an upgrade of Citrix servers. Those of you who have been on this joint committee for a while will probably remember hearing this before. This project's been on the books for quite a while for a variety of reasons, including personnel changes. We have not pushed it through, but we are working in earnest on that, and we hope to have an entirely new Citrix farm by the end of this calendar year, 2016. We have reached end of life with the version of Citrix we're using right now, but our current version is still being supported by our vendor for now. So we are working to get that done. In addition to installing new servers here in the office, we will at some point have to install new Citrix clients at the libraries. So at this point, we have built the servers, and we are going to start working next week with our vendor to get the new version of Citrix installed. The plan is that we're going to do this as a migration rather than an upgrade. So we'll continue using the existing set of Citrix servers. We're going to build the new set, and once it's been thoroughly tested and we're confident that it will work, we will start migrating library sites over to it, probably a few at a time.
Remind me, Donovan, what that does? What's on the Citrix?
That is the software that distributes the Horizon client so that we can run it on a server here rather than have to install it on every PC in the region. So that would be that automation website that you log into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought so. And so then when you say that a few will go over at a time, so tell me a little bit more about that if you would. So
well,
because we don't all have to do the same thing at the same time?
No, not necessarily. What will happen is we'll be continuing to run our old Citrix farm on one set of servers and run the new Citrix farm on a different set of servers, so that some libraries will still be connecting to the old one while some libraries will be connecting to the new farm. It will still be the same Horizon client that you've always used, so nothing will really change there. It would be a different website. So the old farm uses the Automation 2 website that you currently log into. There will be a different website for the new users, which right now we're slated to call that just plain Automation. So hopefully that will be a little more clear to everybody. There's a long history of why Automation 2 got named the way it did. So we can run these in parallel. There shouldn't be any problems with that. And that way we don't have to do one big upgrade where on one weekend we set everything on one throw of the dice as we turn on the new farm. Yeah, John?
Will it also require the Citrix client to be updated on each PC?
It will.
Okay, that piece the answer that I'm sure is interested in, because every PC in your library that has a Horizon client running on it has to be touched by your technical staff or whoever does it.
We'll be sending people out to do those installs. Support for the Citrix client is independent of PC support, so whether you get PC support or not, you're entitled to have us come out and install that client. Or in the case of schools and public libraries that have other IT departments they work with, we may coordinate with that with them, but we would let them help decide whether we send people out or not.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, actually,
That's your Horizon client run.
the client actually can be just downloaded and installed. It's a pretty straightforward process. But since it's a new client, we will probably go ahead and just send people out to get it done.
Okay.
Okay. We have a major upgrade for Horizon coming, 7.5.3. I'm not going to say much about it right now because we have a whole agenda item based on it later on in the meeting. And that's my report.
On that Citrix issue, Windows 10 compatibility with the new version?
Yes. But we still have other solutions that are not yet Windows 10 compatible, Pharos being the major one. So we're not necessarily going to be moving everything over.
Okay, any other questions for him?